by, they say things like, he who hath not the Son of God hath not life, or Jesus is the true way, or without the Son you can't have the Father, or whatever. I saw a sign at church the other day that said, silly Jews. Yeah. I saw this sign in church. It said, give Satan an inch and he'll be a ruler. Yeah. And I think that just goes to show how arrogant we become here in America, that we just assume Satan uses the same system of measurement as we do. The rest of the world's on the metric system. I saw this sign in church. It said, Jesus is in me, so is Father O'Malley. Second part was written in finger paint, though, so, could have been blood and feces. I didn't get that close. Good times. Good times. I'm sorry I offended the other, your boyfriend and the other comedian. I offend black people a lot. It's true. No, because I'm like a liberal, so I've been keeping them on the plantation for centuries by giving them free money to vote Democrat. I don't know if that's another Republican theory. And then they say that we're the racists, even though they're the 90% white party. I think when you're in a party that's like 10% shy of a Klan rally, you can't really call other people racist. Just saying. Sir, does anyone ever tell you look like Data from Star Trek The Next Generation? Just throwing it out there. Mustache agrees with me. Now, I personally, I don't have any religion. I was raised Jewish, but I don't really, I still complain about things at restaurants, but I don't like follow the whole religion and things. I get free shit all the time, but I don't really follow the religion. And I don't really understand why. Like, religion is one of the most horrible things that has ever, like, driven just human indecency of just fighting and pitting one against each other. Like, I honestly believe that that it's probably one of the worst things that's ever happened to humanity. Because yeah, religion helps and does good things for some people, but think of all the things, like, look at the Middle East. The Middle East has been fighting for centuries, all because of religion. And Israel, everyone hates the Jews, and the Muslims hate the Jews, and the Christians hate the Muslims, and everyone hates each other. But what we really have to realize is we all believe in the same basic thing. The Dead Sea Scrolls were loosely translated into the Torah. That's the book of the Jews. That's also the Old Testament, which is in the New Testament. The New Testament is just the Torah plus the story of Jesus and some other stuff. And then the Quran is just an addition onto that. And then there's all these different versions of those in between where some guy comes along and says, I don't like this part, I'm going to add my own part. And the next thing you know, we all have like all these different jumbled versions of the same basic story with other stuff added to it, and everyone's fighting about what the best version of that is. But I'll tell you one thing that's common in all three of those. They all have the same 10 commandments. They all have the same 10 fundamental rules for life, which don't include rape or incest or anything like that, but we'll let that one slide. And they all believe in the same God. In general, Allah, God, Jesus, they're all the same person, pretty much across the board. We all believe the same 10 fundamental rules for life. We all believe in the same God. So what the hell are we fighting about? You know, they were a bunch of Star Wars nerds fighting about what the best Star Wars movie is. It really doesn't make a difference. You're all nerds, you know? The Jews, Old Testament, are like, Episode 4, A New Hope, best movie ever made. Yeah, I know there's sequels out there, but I don't give a fuck. I'll watch this tape over and over again on my Betamax, DVD, CD, VHS player, whatever it is, Betamax, and I'll watch it over and over and over again until it burns out. Yeah, I know there's sequels out there, but I don't care. I don't care. And then you have your basic Christians who are like, no man, let's see The Empire Strikes Back too, because there's the landwalkers, man. It's fucking like the best scene in all the movies, like landwalkers, and there's fucking tauntauns, and you're not going to get into that. And Jabba the Hutt, man? Come on, Jabba the Hutt, you're not going to get into Jabba the Hutt? Come on, man, seriously? And then you have your Catholics, your Protestants, your Pentecostals, all your versions of Christianity, and they're like, no man, you have to see all three of them, otherwise you don't see that they like unfreeze Han Solo, they destroy Jabba the Hutt, and then like Darth Vader becomes good again, and he destroys the Emperor, and really ties the story together, you don't get anything at all. And then you have your Mormons and your Masons and those types, and they're like, no man, you have to see all the old ones and all the new ones, otherwise you don't get to see Jar Jar Binks, you don't understand how Anakin became Darth Vader, and you don't really understand the full spectrum of the story. And then you have your whacked out of their mind born-again Christians that are like, no man, you have to see all the old ones and all the new ones and those 2 made-for-TV Ewok movies starring Wilford Brimley. And then you have your Muslims and they're like, Star Trek is awesome. And the Shiites are like, Jean-Luc Picard is where it's at. And the Sunnis are like, Captain Kirk, I'll murder your family. And the atheists are over in the corner like, you guys are dorks. We're going to watch Lord of the Rings. They have a landwalker scene with elephants. And then 3 houses over in their mom's basement, there's a bunch of Scientologists watching Doctor Who on DVD. They're nerds. Well, that's good noise, right? I like those stickers that people put on their minivans, you know, little family decal stickers. You seen those? The little mom and the dad and the 2 little boys, a little girl and a dog and a cat. It's really cute. Whenever I see those people like getting into their car at the mall or getting out of their car at the mall, I like to walk right up to the back of their minivan with a tube of red lipstick and just put a big X through one of the kids. I'll just stare at them for a good 3 or 4 minutes while I smear the lipstick all over my face. And then just slowly back into the bushes. Try it out sometime. It's fun. I'd like to see one of those cars, like just some old beat up shitty Volvo with like the woman and then like 40 cats. And then like over in one corner just a bunch of like dead cats and shoeboxes. Something like that. I think it would be cute. Right? Who's with me? You like that one? You guys will love this one. You ever get those things in the mail with the missing kids on it? You know what I'm talking about? They say, "Have you seen me?" Picture of the kid on there from his yearbook or a Sears photo or whatever. And then right next to that picture, they have an age progression photo of what that kid would look like now, a few years after he went missing. They do it with computer graphics or whatever. I always thought that was very dishonest. I always thought that age progression photo should be a skeleton tied to bricks under a lake. It's funny because they're dead. You're laughing at it. Give me a hard time, you fucking sick bastards. Decided the other day I need to get a new car. The check engine light on the car I'm driving now went off the other day. And that's been working fine for the last 7 years. And there might be a real problem when your check engine light burns out, right? So I decided I was going to get one of these Ford Excursions, nice big SUV. You can carry around a lot of stuff in it. It's good off-roading, it's good in the snow. But I think I'm going to hold out for the 2012 edition. It's called the Ford Fucking Ridiculous. It carries 2 Excursions inside of it, and it actually runs on the blood of Arabs, so it totally cuts off the middleman. It's like 60 miles an hour. That's pretty good for an SUV. If you're a liberal, that was a joke about no blood for oil. And if you're a conservative, that was a joke about killing Arabs. So, my comedy is for everyone. Mustache loves it. Do you like it? Librarian, Republican librarian, huh? So when you're at like a Tea Party rally and everyone's like, we need to get rid of all these public employees and take away their pensions, are you just like, yeah, we totally need to do that?
They actually meet at the library.
Do they?
Isn't there something fucked up about that?
It seems unusual. And they probably don't pay for it either, do they?
No, it's free.
Oh.
One of those public services they don't like.
Yeah. It always seems really unusual to me that they're against what they're using. Misguided. If they really wanted to stick it to the government, they wouldn't leave their houses or go on public roads or send their kids to school or, go to like grocery stores and eat food and, use like agriculture that's subsidized by the government. They just dig up worms in their yard. Real Americans, right? Who's with me? Oh man, what else is going on? Nothing. I like animals. I'm a big fan of animals. Sir, do you like animals? Like cats?
Cat.
All right. Seems reasonable, I guess. I would say, like, maybe 7% of cats are cool. The rest of them are all dicks, generally speaking.
Mine are females.
Oh, okay. Well, I have 4 cats in my house, and I only like 2 of them. If the other 2 died, I honestly wouldn't care. That's how I feel about cats. Anyways, I really like animals. Specifically, I have this weird thing with wild cats, large cats, cougars, actually. This is the thing, it was about 1996. Now, I've been in animals and nature all my life. 1996, I'm driving through Gulf, Illinois, which is right by Skokie, between Skokie and like Morton Grove, Illinois. Right by Old Orchard Mall, if any of you know where that is. Driving down the street, and I'm a passenger in my friend's car. I'm looking out into the forest preserve. It's the middle of the winter. It's like February. There's snow on the ground. Now I'm looking out into the field in the golf course because when I was a kid, for fun, my dad would take us to the forest preserve, and we would like look for like deer and stuff standing out in the groves because it was free and he was a Jew. So as we're driving, the trees are starting to clear away, and I'm looking off into this field, and I see clear as a bell a black panther walking through this field. Not like a black panther, but a black panther, like a giant black cat. And I freak out and I tell my friend, oh my God, there's a black panther walking through this field. What the hell is going on? And he's like, no, there isn't. I'm like, turn around. So we turn around, and it's gone. It had run off into the bushes or whatever, and I didn't see it. But I was so convinced of what I saw that I called the forest preserve and I told them what I saw. And I distinctly remember seeing the really long tail, and I remember its haunches, like, when a large cat walks, you can see their shoulder blades kind of going. Like, so I very clearly recognized what it was. So the cop that I went and met with, he was like, yeah, it's probably just a black lab or something. I'm like, no, it's not. There's a black cat running around the neighborhood, and somebody's going to die. You need to do something about it. And never heard anything more about it. I just thought some like rapper lost his pet. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. So fast forward to 2004 in Lake County, Illinois, just a few counties over. People were seeing cougars all over the place. You guys might have heard about this. There had been some sightings recently, too. But people were seeing cougars all along the Des Plaines River. There was a pair of cougars that show up in Mundelein, Libertyville, Gurnee, and people were seeing them in their backyards and stuff. And it was in the news almost every day. And there'd be different experts, and they'd give their opinion. Someone would be like, oh, it's probably just coyotes, people are nuts. And other people would be like, no, we found tracks. There's definitely large cats back in the area. And back and forth, and nothing really came of it. So fast forward to 2006. I'm driving through Lake County, Illinois on St. Mary's Road with a friend of mine coming back from a gig that we were doing in Wisconsin. And it's 11 o'clock at night, and we're about to cross these train tracks. And this large animal runs across the road in front of my car. And my friend, who had no knowledge of this, said to me, was that a fucking cougar? And I said, yes, it was a cougar, and I'm going to prove it to everyone. And my reaction to a 200-pound wild cat running across the road in front of my car at 11 o'clock at night in a rural area was to pull over, grab a flashlight, and chase it. And I was probably about 200 yards into my run when I was like, what am I going to do if I catch it? Then what? Come back to my car with my intestines in my hands like, this couldn't have possibly been a coyote that made these lacerations, right? So I called the police once again. I told them what I saw, and they're like, yeah, somebody else reported the same thing, but it's probably nothing, don't worry about it. And I said, listen, you guys are just going to have to admit at some point that cougars are moving back into the area and make people aware so they can take proper precautions and make sure that we can coexist with them and nobody gets hurt. And they said, nah, don't worry about it. And I'm like, just wait, one of these days, one of these things is going to wind up in Chicago, and you guys aren't going to know what to do. Guess what happened in spring of 2008? A fucking cougar wound up in Chicago. It came down the train tracks from God knows where, not on a train, like walked down the train tracks. Hopped over a fence, wound up in Roscoe Village in Lincoln Park in Chicago, one of like the yuppiest neighborhoods it could have possibly found. And it's just running around the neighborhood, and all these people are calling the police and stuff. So the police show up, they surround the neighborhood, they get the cat like cowering under a porch, and they shoot it to death. They shot it 15 times. 7 minutes away from the Lincoln Park Zoo and their giant cat house, they didn't even make a phone call to them to get like a tranquilizer dart or anything like that. So they shot this thing 15 times. And the Chicago police superintendent was like, it was a danger to the community and to, could have jumped over a fence and attacked some kids or something like that. Yeah, I get that. But a large cat running around the neighborhood could be a danger to children. But apparently bullets flying around the neighborhood are perfectly safe for kids, I guess. And you shot it 15 times, Chicago police? That's a beautiful wild animal, not an unarmed black guy. What are you doing? You read your handbooks wrong. Superintendent said, after we shot it, it had a gun on it, and a knife was found near its body. Found some crack cocaine in its pocket. And it was brown. So, if it's brown, shoot it down. That's our slogan here at the Chicago Police Department. You can buy some t-shirts on our website. Pretty ridiculous. A couple years ago I was down in Peoria, Illinois, doing a show out there, and they have this place called Prairie Wildlife Park in Peoria, that's just on the outskirts, and it's this big nature park where you can see all these North American wild animals in their natural habitat. They just fence off big portions of the forest, and they just toss bobcats and cougars and bears and elk and all kinds of cool stuff in there, and you can walk around and take a look. And so before I went and walked around the grounds, I stopped into the visitor center. And the guy behind the counter at the visitor center was putting some candy on the counter to sell for the day. And I said to him, I'm like, hey buddy, I bet those bears like those Reese's peanut butter cups, huh? Because you're not supposed to feed the animals, I'm being a funny guy. And he looked straight at me, deadpan, and said, no, they like human flesh. And then he knocked on his fake leg. I shit you not. And I had to be like, just out of curiosity, how did you lose the leg? And he said, actually, funny story, it's both of my legs. A few years ago, I was out in one of the bear pens putting out some food, and wouldn't you know it, one of the bears had not been secured properly and was still loose in the pen with me, and it came over and attacked me for about 10 minutes and ripped all the flesh off of my legs. I had to have my right leg amputated above the knee. To which my next question was, why the fuck do you still work here? If there was ever an excuse to quit your job and said a goddamn bear ate your legs at work, if you worked in a TGI Fridays and a bear came into your section and ate your legs off your body, last day at TGI Fridays. 100% of the time. You know that Jeff is always stealing my tables. When that bear made a reservation on that Saturday night and came in and ate my legs, last straw. I mean, sure, they were slathered in jack sauce, but that's no excuse. And the guy's still working anywhere. Sit on your ass and collect some disability pay for a while. I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with that. Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity both would be like, sir, you have earned your right to be a tax leech. You just sit there and collect free money. Unless you're a minority, but you're a white guy, so it's cool with us. And the guy's not using that as a trump card. You got your legs eaten by a bear. Come on, man. Sir, do you know why I pulled you over tonight? A bear ate my legs! Oh, you're free to go. You just ran over a bunch of kids on that playground, but they're dead. They don't have to live without legs. That's fucked up. Honey, why are you getting home at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday? A bear ate my legs! Don't you remember that? I'm just surprised you can find anyone to fuck your 2/3 of a body. You do whatever you have to do. And the guy made peace with the bear. He made sure the bear wasn't taken off display or put to sleep or punished or in any way. He still goes by and feeds the bear on the anniversary of which it ate his legs. I'm not making this up. And I asked him, I'm like, how could you even want to be around that animal anymore? And he's like, well, I'm a nature guy. I've been around these animals all my life, and I've worked here for, almost a decade. And I really understand these animals on a deeper level than most people. And I understand that that animal was just being a wild animal and acting like it's supposed to act. And I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it attacked me. There's really nothing I can do about it. My bad. And I'm like, really? You're that calm about this? Because I'm sorry, if that was me, I would be like, hey guys, that bear that ate my legs? Yeah, I know, it's just a wild animal, doesn't know what it's doing. But fucking kill it! In the most painful way possible, like power tools and shit, and you make its kids watch. And then you find some medical way to give me its legs. And I will walk around for the rest of my life with bear legs while wearing shorts as a message to all the bears not to fuck with Dave Oz. It's a true story. I was talking to this conservative friend of mine the other day about climate change. So I should rephrase that. I was talking to this closed-minded asshole I know the other day about climate change. And he said that global warming's just a myth. It is a myth perpetuated by the liberal agenda. They just want us to believe global warming exists. I said, all right, I'll buy it. Why do the liberals want us to believe global warming exists? And he goes, well, they just want us to invent more efficient technology and stop polluting so much and shit. What a bunch of assholes. Can you imagine if we did all that for nothing? And I'm like, what about the polar bears? They're drowning up in Alaska. The polar bears go down the shelf ice time for seals. But in the wintertime, the ice starts to melt before they're used to, and they wind up drowning out in the ocean. He goes, man, that's a bunch of liberal bullshit, too. Everyone knows that polar bears are drowning themselves because they're depressed about September 11th. I heard it on Hannity. And now what's happening, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but polar bears are losing their habitat, so they're trying to readapt to new habitats. They're moving more inland, away from the shelf ice. And you know what they're running into a lot more? Grizzly bears. And you know what happens when grizzly bears and polar bears meet? No, they don't fight to the death. They fuck. That's what happens. Polar bears and grizzly bears are breeding and creating a hybrid species called growler bears or pizzly bears. I've already found a few of them. I'm not making this up. It's absolutely true. Now you think if anything would get conservatives off their ass to do something about global warming, it would be interracial dating among bears. Of course, they'd probably be like, no, we've been fine with interracial dating since 2001. It's those faggot bears we're worried about. You see male bears fucking each other, you let us know, we'll close down a factory to send those jobs over to China, give those companies tax breaks, and then blame it on the black guy. Anyways, guys, that's about it for me. I do have t-shirts for sale after the show. They're only $10. I have them in a variety of colors. And look at that. Isn't that adorable? And it cost me $17 in tolls to get up here, so please do buy one. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm Dave Ott. Have a good night.